Hi, good evening, everyone. You are attending, it's 7 o'clock, 7:02, and you are attending the July general meeting of the Multnomah Neighborhood Association. Thank you for being here tonight. We appreciate you. And it's a gorgeous day on Tuesday, July 12th. And we have a lot to get to here, so we'll get going on the agenda. There's a few people that have come in. Let me pull up that agenda real quick. Okay, so first things first, the approval of the agenda and the previous minutes. The agenda was placed in the public folder. I can also screen share it here just to make sure that everybody has a chance to see this. If they have not. Where's it? You see, we're gonna, we have our first section till 7:20, and then from 7:20 to 7:50, board and committee reports, old business, new business. And best case scenario, we'll get out of here by 8:30. We'll end by 8:30, but if we may have to extend it depending on what happens, and we'll go from there. So we have the, if the agendas, we'll go ahead and go forward with the agenda. And the minutes we have are also in the public folder. Our minutes are twofold right now. The Zoom recording from June and a Zoom log with points of interest, if you will, from the call. Reference points for what things that occurred at certain places. Part of the reason that we're using the Zoom for our meeting to document our meetings as the meeting minutes, A, because it's a video and it's accurate, but B, we didn't have a secretary. And I'm going to skip over the overview of meeting and voting procedures and go straight into the intro of our newest volunteer at Multnomah Neighborhood Association. And that would be our new secretary, Julie Leak, volunteer secretary, Julie Leak. Julie, go ahead and unmute and say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody. I am a local resident of the village, just between like Marcos and Barber on 30th, and been in the neighborhood about a dozen years. And the kid goes, well, it's just left in Jackson to go to Wells, and love the village and happy to help where I can.
Well, you have no idea how valued your secretarial your services are, your volunteer services are, Julie. So thank you. And she's already done, she has one board meeting minutes under her belt, and perfect. So thank you. And look forward to working with you more here in the neighborhood. So let's go over so in tonight's meeting, we're going to be, if we do have a vote, we do have to, because of the nature of Zoom, we do have a procedure that we finally have ironed out here as far as voting. What it does require is it requires us to do some credentialing first to establish who is a member of the association, who can vote and who cannot. So I'm going to turn over this part of the meeting to Will, because he's our credentialing guru and who has figured out a way to get this as smooth as possible. So go ahead, Will.
Okay, hi. Basically, we did it last month, the same way, but essentially what we do is we use what's called polling in the Zoom world, which is a form of vote. I will display a poll with a question on it, and it'll say, okay, basically, who are you? Are you a member with one person, a member with two people on the login, or possibly three or more? And this month, we're doing a slight variation. We're asking to have attendance, not just credentialing members, but actually having who's here as attendance. So there's also a section to say, if you're not a member, you're a non-member, or is it just one person, two people, or three or more people? And then once we've got the formal polling done, people who are not able to poll, they're on the phone, or for some reason the polling isn't working for them, we'll get those people recorded as well. So we have both the list of credential members, who are people who are qualified to vote on issues as they come up in the meeting, and people who are here as guests or non-members. And let me go over one more time, just for people who came in afterwards. What does it take to be a member? It's real simple. If you live in the boundaries of the Multnomah neighborhood, or you own a business in those boundaries, or you own property in those boundaries, you are de facto a member by simply being here. And I want to say that living here doesn't mean owning a home. This means you can rent. You can probably have a tent in the park, but that's questionable. But anyhow, renters or homeowners, if you're here, you're a member, and welcome to vote. Okay. Now I will, if you, I want ready to go. Any questions about that before I go?
Good.
Okay, then I will bring up the poll and see what we have here. Take me a little while to get to it here. Okay. Okay. Credentialing members coming up. One question. Whoop. Okay, can everyone see that on the screen?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay, let me go launch this thing. Sorry about that.
Oh, I see it. When I click on the polls button.
Yeah,
on
you
the
click-
menu,
you're clicking on the polls, but I need to launch the, I need to launch it.
I see. Okay. That's right. I'm not seeing.
For some reason, it's not launching here. Wait a minute, why is it not launching? It is not launching. It says not
Oh, here,
launched.
you know why? Because I see, I have the launch button, and so I'm gonna press it.
Okay, you took it.
I guess so, as a co-host or something.
Okay, so you see it on your poll. Everybody, members or non-members, can answer on the poll. So go ahead and start working here.
Go ahead and answer those polls that you should see in front of you. And if you can't see the poll because you've called in or the video's not working or whatever, then that will require us to ask you to get your credentialing, but you can let us know. And we'll figure that out after we total everything up.
Okay,
All right, has everybody had a chance to to participate in the poll?
we've got 14 of 18 still. We got 4 more people who have not answered.
You and I can't do it, and
That's not, we're not counted in the 18.
okay,
And Beth,
Officer Derry probably won't be answering.
all right.
yeah, there you go.
I don't know if he lives in the neighborhood. He's ready to go.
I just outside of the neighborhood, unfortunately,
Okay.
in Washington County,
Oh, that's a ways outside. Okay.
Yeah. by a couple
15.
blocks.
Okay. I haven't heard any more people logging in. We got 15 of 18 have gone, so I'm going to end the poll.
Okay, now I see the end, I have an active end poll button here. Do you also? Oh, Will, you're muted.
Will, you're muted. Still muted.
Okay, hear me now?
Yes.
Much better.
Okay, now we're going to share the results. Here we go. Okay, so what I see 8 one-member logins. I see 3 two-member logins. No 3 or more members are logged in. Okay. I see 4 guests or non-members with 1 member. And nobody with a 2 or more members or 3 or more members, guests or non-members. Or no, who was not able to use the poll? If you unmute yourself and show your name, we'll get you logged in. Beth, you're a member. I know, so I got you there.
Yes, Beth here. Hi, everybody.
Okay. Anybody else who was not able to use the poll?
I show that someone's called in using a 650 area code. If you're a member of the neighborhood association, you can let us know. You're welcome to speak up. Otherwise, we're going to consider you not a member.
Okay.
We might want to remind that person that to unmute themselves, they can hit *6.
Right. Thank you. *6 for unmuting.
Very good.
And to remute, *6.
Hi, this is the 650. I am a member. I'm logging in on my phone instead of the computer.
That's the problem. We will put your name. I'll change your name in a bit.
Yeah, just go Bill B as in boy.
Bill B. Very good. Okay.
B.
Gotcha. Okay,
Thanks so
Bill,
much.
Edith and I are not members, but we can't vote because we're hosting. Okay, anybody else? I've got Beth Omansky, Bill B, Edith and Will Fuller. And Moses is a member, but he can't vote, so
I can tie break a vote. I can be the tie breaking vote.
I'll put you down as a member then. Okay.
No, right. Okay.
In which case, at this point then, what I have is I have the 11 polled login members and logins, okay? And then we add 3 for the second person on a login. So that makes 14 actually logged in members. 4 one-person guests logged in. And no 2 persons, so there's 4 guests logged in. Polled. Now we have manual added members, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 added members. Okay. So we have, if I'm counting correctly, 19 members and 4 guests. Okay, for a total of 20. I got 23 people. Okay.
Very good. And just while we were conducting credentialing, I noticed that Lisa Carney Fenton joined us. So please add her. Obviously, she's a member, neighborhood member. So
Okay.
add her to the voting group.
Okay, that's another person. That makes 20 members by my count.
Wonderful. Okay.
Okay. Very
So
good.
we have excellent. Good work. Good work. We have our final numbers, or at least our current numbers. Is that correct?
That's current member. That's current numbers. That's right.
Okay, fantastic, folks. Okay, so that was relatively painless, and as we go along, we'll be able to streamline that even further. And obviously, when we have our meetings in person, we're going to have to count heads better. We'll be able to count heads better than we can counting screens, if you will. So thank you for that. Okay, so we have our credentialing done. It's 7:16. We're about 4 minutes ahead of schedule here for going into the board and committee reports. I want to take a moment to, I want to wait on the other reports and go ahead and go to the crime and safety report. And our officer that is here, I don't want to make you have to wait for another 10, 15 minutes while we're going through that sort of stuff, sir. So,
Thank you.
so let me bump you up in the reporting and go first. And actually, and then after that, we'll go. Oh, Beth, what are you suggesting? Should I just do the safety report first and have him be a part of it? Yes, go ahead, Beth. Beth is our safety committee person.
Excellent.
I see your hand has been raised, Beth. That's why I brought that up. And you're on mute. *6. Yeah. There you go. There you go. Okay, you're unmuted, Beth. Go ahead.
Having my hand up, that was an accident. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. Sounds
I
good.
can't use my phone anymore, so we're just
It's
kind
all
of
good.
stumbling through this.
You're doing quite well. I mean, relatively speaking.
Should
Yeah.
have been here when I was trying to log in.
All right, let's go
Okay,
to,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead and
Thank-
mute again. Yeah, go ahead and mute again. And then I'll go ahead and once again, introduce the officer from the Portland Police Department. Sir, I didn't catch your last name. I apologize, but please go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Officer Dairy. It's dairy like the milk product. Easy to remember. I work here in the Southwest neighborhoods in the Multnomah County, Multnomah Village area. I've been here with Portland just a little over 9 years. So it's I've been down here in this area for about 4. So
Fantastic. Thank you for your help.
absolutely, I'm glad to be here.
Are there, I know that what we've done normally is you kind of give a quick summary of maybe perhaps past 30 days of anything of interest, if there's been any increases in any particular category, that sort of a thing, sir.
Certainly. So like many of you know, things that have been on the uptick, property crimes, break-ins to cars. For a while, I was working a desk job and I took all of the online reports of folks who had to report their cars being broken into. I probably took 50 a day, and that was just me. So, be aware of what you're leaving in your vehicle, what you're not leaving in your vehicle, what you're leaving outside, those types of things. We're seeing quite a few more trespasses with folks coming in and going into burglarizing outside buildings, sheds, shops, those kinds of things. It's not so predominant down here in the Southwest neighborhoods, but it is starting to happen more and more as they change some ordinances downtown, some camping things downtown. Some of these camps are getting pushed further and further out, and it's kind of bleeding down here into this area. So just be aware of those things. What you do and don't leave outside. Have your outside lights on. Do all the environmental crime prevention things. Keep your bushes trimmed and shrubs down, things that people can't hide behind. And that's really what we're seeing more of right now than anything else. And it's just a little property crimes. It's not big safety issues. It's not big people crimes. It's just the property crimes that are just kind of ticking up. So,
Sir, we'd had a chance to speak to some of the renters, the tenants over at the senior apartments over there behind the Aladdin Inn, and the Chevron station there. And they shared a lot of theft going on at the catalytic converter thing.
yes.
And in talking about it, somebody had suggested that they'd gone actually to a local vendor, a local muffler guy, to see about getting plates put in. Are you finding, does that help? Is that a good deterrence?
I can say that I still take plenty of reports from folks who have bought the shields and the cages. It adds maybe 2 minutes to the cut job. So they're under there with tools that get through that just as quick. It'll deter the folks who may be doing this in a little bit busier area because they don't want to waste that 2 or 3 minutes. But I have talked to plenty of people who spend the $150 on the plate or the grate or the shield, and it still gets cut through. My recommendation is try to label it's difficult, right? This is something that has to be done usually by a mechanic, but label the catalytic converter, have a number welded onto it. And really until state legislation or city changes saying that these are not recyclable anymore, we're going to see this continue go on. Something has to change on an end where folks just aren't getting the money for it anymore. And that's the difficult part. That's the part that really needs to change. And I know it's been on the books and it's been up for vote, and it needs to be passed to where they're not recyclable and the materials that are inside of them aren't. And that's just kind of where we're at. But keep your vehicles in well-lit areas. It's a lot of it is older vehicles that are getting damaged, like the older Toyotas, mid 2000s. For whatever reason, the material is greater in those catalytic converters than in some of the newer ones, but we're seeing it a lot. Toyotas, hybrids are notoriously damaged for this. If you own a Prius, hybrid, Lexus, Toyota, it's a target.
Good thoughts, sir. Thank you. I've got, if you don't mind, I've got a couple questions for you. We've got, if I can take 3 more minutes of your time here.
Fire away, I'm yours. Yep.
All right, great. Thanks, officer. Okay, first up, Frank, and then second up on deck is Lisa.
Yeah, I just wonder what's the value of a catalytic converter?
So most people get them turned in and recycle for a couple $100s. Now, the material inside, if they go through the very, very caustic chemical process I've pointed out, the palladium that is inside the catalytic converter is around $27,000 an ounce. But they're only getting minuscule amounts out of every one. That's why they are collecting so many.
That's amazing. I mean, so they have to make up for it in the volume to be able to make it profitable, huh?
Exactly. And so usually what they do is they get a whole bunch and they just take it to another person who is going to do that process and recycle it. They don't do it themselves. They fill a stolen vehicle with as many as they can, take it and then recycle it, get the money for each one individually. And that's how a lot of them are making their money. They're not doing the whole process of pulling out the valuable materials, because inside of it you have palladium, you have platinum, and then there's one other one, but the palladium's the most expensive, most valuable one.
You're muted, Moses.
Yeah, you're muted, Moses. Can't hear you.
Okay, I'm back. Frank, did you have any other follow-up on that? That answer your question? Okay. Lisa, you're up next. Thank you.
Hi, officer. I live adjacent to the SRV, and I've been in Portland 6 years, and I've lived there about 35. In 2016, when the temporary shelter went in, I was advised by a police officer that was stationed at the Lamart Center at the time, never to approach or engage with any of the homeless or anyone that looks unsafe or unstable. So fast forward to current, and I'm seeing numerous people in the neighborhood that don't look safe and unstable. I don't feel safe anymore. I haven't felt safe since 2016. I have a big dog and I walk and I still don't feel safe. So my husband's telling me to buy bear mace or buy mace. And I'm wondering, if I do that, what are the consequences if I have to use it to me?
That's a very that could be a very legal question that I don't want to get someone in hot water about. But if you feel threatened, like if someone's coming at you and they're obviously in a threatening manner, there's not going to be any consequence to you. Like an officer will show up and be like, well, why, what was your reason? As long as you can articulate, this is what was going on. I told them to leave me alone. They continued either to follow me, they continued to get too close to me, and I felt personally at risk. That's not going to, there's not going to be blowback on you. There shouldn't be blowback on you. What I would say, if you decide to go that route, is the product you purchase, get something that is a gel product. So it's not an aerosol. A lot of bear sprays are an aerosol, and as soon as it comes out of the can with whatever the propellant is, if the wind's blowing your direction, there's cross-contamination, and that can get you just as much as it's getting the person you're trying to get away from you. The gel products, or the products that come out in a straight stream, they are easier to shoot. For one, you can hit your target a little bit better, and you run a lot lower risk of cross-contamination. The last thing you want to do when you're trying to get away from someone is have what you're trying to use get in your own eyes and impede your process of escape or a retreat or whatever it might be. So just be cautious of the product. Don't get just an aerosol. Get something I like the gel product because it sticks to whatever it hits. So it gets on them. And once it gets on them, if you're not using Dawn dish soap and a scrub brush, you're not getting it off. And it's very effective.
Okay, thank you. But I am going to emphasize that I've lived here 60 years. And it's just in the last 4 or 5 years that I've ever even had to consider this at all. And I'm extremely disappointed that we as a society are normalizing all the stuff that's going on in my community, and that why we can't move in the direction. I just don't understand.
Yeah, and we're right there with you with the frustrations. I've lived in Portland for just about 20 years in this area. And I see it too, and it's sad. And I see it with my family, you know, on that level and on that side of things. And I see it as a police officer, and how much more it's moving in here. And I right before this meeting, I had another community meeting with a business who is feeling the repercussions of all the other things that have gone on, and people coming in and the theft and things just not going in the right direction. And so I understand, I hear your frustration. We vocalize it to our leaders as well.
Okay, well, thanks for all your work and thanks for your advice on the the gel spray. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
Thank you, Officer Derry. And last but not least, Patrick, your hand is up.
Hi, thanks. And thanks, Officer Derry. Appreciate it. I get a lot of reports or alerts on Nextdoor, and more recently on the Ring doorbells. I didn't ask to be part of that network, but I'm getting a lot of them. And it seems like an effective way to alert people, but what is your experience with that? It seems like the more people that have those, the more effective it is.
I find them very helpful. I have the Ring doorbell app, and I didn't know I had all the alerts. Like, they started coming through on my phone as well, and it seems like it started up again recently. I like them to the extent of, I mean, it's a good way to help out your neighbors. Like, the community policing, in the sense of the community doing some of it, is something that we have to have. Like, I mean, we all need to look out for each other and help each other, whether it's to find your cat who went missing, or be like, hey, there was a suspicious person and this is the car they were driving, because, you know, someone may want to call non-emergency. I get those things and I'm like, oh, I can look out for that vehicle because it's in my neighborhood. You know, it's kind of where I'm at. So I find them helpful. But the Nextdoor app, that's a good place to do it. The Ring app, that's another good one. And then I know people have Facebook groups that are a little bit more privatized, I guess, for the community. You can decide who you want to invite and not invite, and be like, this is our, you know, this is, I don't need to get alerts in Tigard for something that's going on over on the south end or east end of Beaverton, because I do sometimes, like, well, that's not really my area, but I'll still get the alerts on my Ring app. But I do find them helpful. I just, my fear is that some folks will get hyper vigilant, and they'll, you know, that ding of that social media aspect of it will just kind of start to grate on them all the time. And it's hard not to get wrapped up in that and see it all the time and have it, you know, get a little bit depressing. But just know your limits and what makes you feel good and not feel good, and how much you want to be informed with some things that are going on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You know, that's a really good place to end it at, because I have to agree with you. It can be overwhelming, but yet you kind of have to filter
Yes.
kind of what you're going in, and stay focused on what your goal is, and that's being safe and your livability, you know, that sort of thing.
Yep.
And here at the Neighborhood Association, we're trying our darndest to be able to get as much good information out to folks. And, you know, it starts with having a good relationship with the people that serve us, like yourself. And so thanks for taking a few moments out of your day to do this. And yeah, we appreciate it. Hopefully we'll see you out in the hood.
I'll be here. I try to be a presence. Patrick has my email, so feel free to shoot me these. And if I'm available, I am more than happy to get on and talk and help out where I can.
Officer Derry, I'm going to take you up on that. So thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, do please.
Okay, good deal. And Patrick, hats off to you for helping with the networking here. Appreciate it. All righty. You know, and we're talking safety here now, folks. So let's go ahead and finish the report of the safety committee, starting with Beth introducing what Patrick and her have been working on that relates really to what we've been talking about here. So Beth, are you available? Can you to give your safety report? We can get all the safety committee stuff out of the way.
Yeah.
There we go. Perfect. Oops. Okay, you're in.
I'm in?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. You wouldn't believe what just happened there, but okay, hi. Let's see. We, Patrick and I developed a public safety information sheet for our community, and at the request of Moses. So I sent Moses the draft, and let us know what you think about that.
Oh, the draft looks fantastic. And I wanted to allow you and Patrick the opportunity to introduce it to folks before I publicly posted it. But what I do want to do real quick is just at least show it, share screen so you can see what we're at here and what it has on there. So you'll see here, Safe Rest Village contact information is on this sheet. We have some 24-hour emergency numbers for the city of Portland. Who and how to report campsites or graffiti online. Broken or lifted sidewalk, a trip hazard. There's actually, I didn't even know that, a sidewalk repair section. Okay. Non-emergency number, Portland City Hall information. And then one that I'm near dear to my heart is the graffiti abatement one. And I know that that's Patrick's little bailiwick right now. The graffiti abatement is pretty darn important. We got to nip it in the bud, and if we get it early, it sends a message. So there's some good information there, and I noticed that you put the Metro Paint program there too, as well as the City of Portland on this sheet. It seems like this would be a kind of a living document as we learn, as we get more information. If there is more information for other safety resources, we can add them. Let's see. Did I convey that correctly? Beth and Patrick,
Yes.
Everything about this info sheet? Okay.
No. I think if people have other things they'd like to see on the list, please forward them to us or to you, Moses, and share them with us. We try to keep it one page. I think your projection went over to 2 pages, but our original is down to 1 page. But if we have other things that people want to see on that list, please forward them.
Okay.
Yeah, should
Lisa,
we wait?
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Should we wait to get feedback from people before we say it's not a draft anymore?
I think we should have at least one round of drafting, because I get the feeling we're going to get a number. Somebody like Lisa might have a suggestion for adding something here.
Great.
Okay.
Actually, I just have a question. Has anyone, I know this meeting's small, but has anyone called the Safe Rest Village phone number and actually got a response?
I called them
never tried.
about, yeah, I called them once early on. I haven't spoken to them, but I haven't tried beyond that one.
So you left a voicemail and they did not get back to you?
No, not at that time. This was about what, when they had the first week of their opening.
Okay, anyone else call and get a response? I've called 3 times and I've never heard back. They don't answer the phone when you call, you leave a voicemail and they don't respond. So I'm wondering if maybe this would be the time for whoever's doing this list to reach out and see if someone can carry a cell phone on their person and actually be available when needed.
I'll follow up on that.
And
All
you
right,
can
good.
also contact Brian by email, and his email is on the list.
Right.
I will do
So
some.
for those of us who live adjacent to the property, waiting 3 days isn't working.
I understand.
Aren't they supposed to have staff on site? I thought there was staff on site. Has anyone tried walking over there to talk to the staff?
Hey, this is not, I'm so sorry, folks. I apologize. I must not be managing this right. This is not a discussion about the Safe Rest Village. This is a discussion about an information sheet.
Right, but the
So
number
if
on
I may,
there.
if I may, if we can take that conversation that you're having, that you're trying to have offline, it would really help the rest of us out. So thank you.
But
Will, did you?
Moses, we need to have a phone number that people respond to at the
I
Safe Rest
understand
Village.
that,
It's
and
on
you
the
have
list,
stated that,
and
and I'm going
they're
to.
not responding.
Why shouldn't she be allowed to speak? She's a resident of the village and she has major concerns. Why is she not allowed to
Because
speak?
there is a time and a place during the meeting. and
When?
This is
When?
not it.
No one is listening to her. No one is responding to her. So
Excuse
why
me.
not? She's a woman who has safety issues.
All I'm asking is if this is the number they provided and I've used it 3 times and I'm not getting a response, can we follow up and see if there's another number or way that
And
they
we
can be
said-
contacted as
I
needed
agreed.
via
And
phone?
when you
Yeah.
asked that originally, before we started heading get into the yelling argument here, I told you I
May
will
I-
follow up with you.
May I jump in here?
Yes,
I hear what you're saying, and I will follow up on that.
Thank
This
you.
is Beth.
Thank you.
wonderful. All right. Will, could we go ahead? I see your hand is up.
I'm done with
Yes.
my report.
I wanted to highlight one number that is not on this list. It's the 311, which is a one point of contact for the city of Portland for a variety of issues. It's currently business hours only, Monday to Friday, 8 to 5, but I understand they are going to be a 24/7 line to get some response on reporting a camp or just say, hey, I'm trying to find out something from the city. Where do I go? So 311 should be added to the list. But otherwise, great list. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just learned this afternoon that they've hired 12 people, new people, to work it when it goes 24/7. So they're making good progress on that, making that happen.
Great.
Okay, good. All right. Patrick, do you need to add something to this?
I have more.
Oh, you have,
But
I'm
wait.
so sorry, Beth.
Go ahead, Beth.
Go ahead, Beth.
I spoke with Jenny Pullen today, who is
Oh.
she has a different crime prevention program. Although there's a different name for her program now, the city has done a big revamping of all of the safety-related programs across all of the bureaus are now located in one specific area. Like Jenny is not under civic life anymore. All of the safety programs are under Bureau of, what was it, Business
Emergency management.
Management and
No.
budget.
No, budget management or something. I'm sorry. I have it written down over there and I can't see it. Anyway, it's under a new program. So we don't know yet how that's all going to be. But Jenny has agreed to come to our September meeting and she'll be speaking at that.
And if I understand correctly, we'll have at least 30 minutes with her to understand, and by that time, she'll have a better grasp of the available programs that are going to be under her new umbrella and those programs that are available for us to start tapping into as the neighborhood to safety-related programs.
Yeah, she's going to talk about things that could be helpful to our neighborhood association and then things that could be helpful to us as neighbors, doing safety things for neighbors. So it should be a very interesting, make sure to come in September so you can hear Jenny.
Fantastic.
Okay, I think that's all now. Patrick, do you have more on your, you haven't given your report yet, have you?
Just a couple of additional comments. One, we were invited to speak at the Multnomah Village Business Association a couple of weeks ago. It was very well received. We talked about the livability subcommittee and the graffiti abatement efforts, and they were very receptive to that. So that's one. And then two, a shout out to our new secretary, who is also becoming a charter member of the subcommittee. She's been very communicative about her is Julie, who really has been very responsive to our outreach to the membership about graffiti. So look forward to working with Julie. Good to meet you
Great.
in person. That's all.
Fantastic.
Great, thanks, Pat. Moses.
Thank you, Beth. All right, so now now that we've done the Public Safety Committee's report, let's scoot back up to the top of the list. Myself, we don't have really too much to report. I don't have too much to report. I am working with other members to arrange our upcoming ice cream social that will be done a week before, on August 13th, Saturday, August 13th. And also the Multnomah Days, we've got an opportunity to be to work, do a solve type event with the Sunday morning, the next morning. I don't want to take too much away from Corinne on this because this is her baby, but I'm supporting her as much as I can on that end. Other than that, not too much to report. And I'll defer next to the Vice Chair, Beth Amansky, if you have a report.
You know, Moses, you do such a good job. You're making my vice chair, kind of dormant for now. So I have no report there. My activities have been more in the Public Safety Committee realm.
Well, thank you, Beth. And you're the best vice chair is the one that is always there ready to take your place and to do it and knows what they're doing. So I tip at the hat to you, Beth. I know that it's appreciated that I know that you're there. Next up is Tad. Tad, are you here tonight? Did our treasurer make it? He may not be here, but no, he's not here. I do know that I can very confidently say that things are financially unchanged since the last meeting. I've had no reports of income or expenses. And then last but not least, Julie. Julie, would you like to take a minute and just say hello or say anything official, quote official?
No, I'm just typing like crazy and everything's nothing to report out on my side.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. So now let's go. I've done the committees alphabetically here. Let's go into communications and Will Fuller. He has been taking the ball and running with it when it comes to the communication needs of the MNA. His Multnomah Messenger, I hope you saw it, was introduced, and I don't want to take any more away from Will. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Well, let's be pretty brief. I don't want to take a lot of our time. We've got other issues to deal with, but the basic idea behind the Multnomah Messenger is a general announcements newsletter going out to people with a series of items of interest. We try to keep the listing in the messenger to like one paragraph or less, just a teaser. And if you want more, you click on a button and go off to find more. It's open to anyone who wants to suggest content for the messenger. Where would you like to be given current awareness, things that when you put something out on the web page, it tends to go there to die because nobody looks at the web page. But this is a way of alerting people that something's important going on, current status of the Safe Risk Village, or events coming up like an ice cream social or so on and so forth. So it'll be an occasional program. It's not mine, it's the neighborhood's. So feel free to suggest or send items for the messenger. And I want to talk one other communications thing. I want to give a shout out to Carolyn Devine, who is having us active members, the community, the officers and committee chairs of the neighborhood to answer some questions about what's it like to be a volunteer, what's interesting to you, what's important about it, and to compile it in a way to give people a reason to become a volunteer other than sort of the guilt of, oh, I've got to do something that makes it a dynamic, interesting, meaningful experience. So stay tuned for that and more from Carolyn.
Wonderful. I agreed. I'm really looking forward to it. We have this vision. I just want to, if I may share this, we have this vision of being able to create a volunteer handbook for folks so that we can, folks know exactly what's involved, the who, what, why, when, and where of being a volunteer for the neighborhood association. So they are working on that. I see Bill Southworth. You have your hand up, sir.
Hi, actually, it's Penny Welch.
Oh, hello, Penny.
Hi, sorry, we're muted here or not visible. Anyway, my question is, what time, if anybody knows, that the ice cream social is going to be? I was just going to put it on my calendar now, so it shows up.
Oh, bless your heart. The ice cream social will be the Saturday, August. Wait a minute here. I'm pulling up the calendar.
13th.
Yes, Saturday, August 13th, and it will be located. How do I describe it? It's at the west entry. It'll be at the east entrance of Gabriel Park across from 4144 Southwest Canby and that development that's going there.
Ah,
It's that entrance at the very end of the street into the park. There's a parking area there.
mhm.
And we've reserved the grassy area down below. And we're going to have folks from the city, from different divisions within the city, departments within the city there. We may have a fire truck there. And we're making arrangements to have some ice cream there for everybody who wants some. And it'll be a good way to just kind of meet the, to meet each other, of course, you know, that's what the social side of it. But then this is a program that Civic Life was pushing and that was promoting. And so they've made available to us these, like the fire truck, the fire department, somebody from the fire department there, somebody from the different watershed or different divisions. I'm sorry, I don't know exactly, but there was about a list of 7 or 8, and I had Corinne just ask them all to join us. You know, we'll have a big to-do. The more the merrier. So, but yeah, Corinne may have some more details when she gets to that point. But yeah, put it in your calendar.
Time?
What time will
We're
To be-
not that far along on planning it. I don't think we have a time yet. Or you
Yeah.
and I haven't talked about a time yet, Moses, yeah.
All right. It'll be on the calendar then. Thank you.
Yes, it will. And we'll certainly be giving notice to that. That's a good question, Corinne. We're gonna have to ponder that one. What time do we want to do it? I'm looking forward to this event, Corinne. I hope I've been describing it properly. Okay, so let's see, next up. Okay, equity. Will, do you want to go ahead and give your equity report?
Well, sure. Again, I've put out a written report for equity on the website for the meeting, so I'll refer you to that. But we're doing a couple of things I wanted to highlight. We've reactivated our outreach action team. Moses and I showed up at a senior apartment complex over called the Village at the Headwaters. 40 people out of the 45 residents showed up. Their big deal was crime, among them being catalytic converter theft and general feeling of safety. They want to continue. I delivered the flyer, the one-page flyer of how to be in a neighborhood association, called It's Your Neighborhood Association, to the main complex, the actual Headwaters, and it will be distributed to all 100 residents of that, and they may want to have a meeting with us. We're continuing to look at Safe Rest Village as an equity issue, the concern of neighbors as well as the people in the village, to make it a really important, as good possible piece of neighborhood and as uncontroversial and dangerous as people are concerned about. Then the Multnomah Village Business Association for Multnomah Days called on us to help them out with their equity arrangements. So I talked to the Southwest Corridor Equity Coalition, which is a people of color led organization bringing the developments in West Portland Town Center all the way along the Southwest Corridor light rail if it happens. And they will have a booth at Multnomah Days for SWEC. They're sharing it with Neighborhood House. So stop by and learn about Southwest Equity Coalition. And that's the report. You can read the rest online.
Okay, great. Good job, Will. You know, and just a real quick comment about our visit to the renter to the senior apartments and kind of the feedback that we got from the neighbors in that area. I will say this, you know, there's a lot of, I was surprised how many renters there are over there and how many of their issues are right in alignment with what I've been hearing over the last 8 months, you know, as chair. That tells me that we all have concerns, no matter our housing status, we all have these fundamental concerns, be a renter or be a homeowner. And, you know, so it was really, it was a good thing. I'm glad that we did that. We had about 20 people at that meeting of tenants. So that was exciting.
Moses?
Yeah.
Do you think that they would like to have Jenny Pullen come out and speak to them?
Oh, yeah. Yes, they would.
I think we
know
can
they would.
arrange that.
Yeah, let's follow up with that. And I'll go into it a little bit more under the old business, but we did there were a couple of issues that were brought up by the folks at that meeting that fit in with some of this, that fit in with what we can provide to them. We can assist them with this, with some of their issues. One was a watershed issue. One was a safety issue. One was a transportation issue, and I'll go into that. And fortunately, those are all things that we might be able to help them with. So,
And if I may jump in just to go backtrack a little bit, the bureau that all the safety things are going to be under now is the bureau, is the Office of Management and Finance.
ah, very good. And yeah, very good. We'll get that in community, and just to clarify it too, because I have Leah Fisher here who sent this to me, and so she's come, she works for the city, so she knows too. Community safety program would be moving to the newly formed Public Safety Division under Director Mike Myers, Bureau of Emergency Management, I believe. So just reaffirming what you're saying there. Okay, hey, great, thank you. Frank, it is time for land use, sir. Are you available out there, Frank?
Sure. I'm available.
Hey.
I've just been out walking in the neighborhood, surveying various land use issues with my dog. So, and I'm not right now sitting in the Texas Tank Park, with the water tank over there and what have you. Anyway.
Right, that's cool.
Anyway, land use, what's going on? The key things are, of course, the 4144 Canby development is proceeding. There supposedly soon will be an invitation to the neighborhood to come and see what they might want to pilfer from the deconstructed site. That's my understanding. But I haven't got a word about when that's going to happen. Then beyond that, there is the development on 25th across from the Fred Meyer gas station that's under construction now. Their foundations are complete, and they're just about to start doing the wood framing to construct that. That we weren't notified about this because, well, they didn't have to notify us because they were doing everything within the bounds of the what's required. I mean, they were meeting all the zoning criteria. There's the West Portland Town Center, and I tend to defer to Will about this because he's a little bit more engaged in that process than I have been. But it was their proposals that the planning department had been putting out to the public for consideration have been forwarded to the city council and approved by the city council. Another issue is the RIP2, the residential info project 2, that is the spawn of statewide land use legislation. Has also been passed through the city council, and just the memory of the neighborhood association may not be strong, but I mean the institutional memory, but we did oppose the RIP1 with some vigor and a lot of money, and but the RIP2, well, it's really sort of just follows. We weren't successful with the RIP1 opposition, and so there was no further, really no change and no opposition to the RIP2. And coming back around, I guess, to the West Portland Town Center work. Will, do you have anything you want to offer about that?
Well, I can say that basically where it is now, the West Portland Town Center is a development, and traditionally developments become gentrification of an area and becomes an equity issue because the West Portland Town Center plan has equity built into it rather strongly. Making that a reality will be an interesting thing, but so far the plan has gone to the city council with the equity components still in it. And the city council in the September, October timeframe will have hearings about it and voting on it. The whole Southwest project, since they don't have the light rail voted in, is kind of in a waiting state. But meanwhile, while waiting for the trolley to get here, we are, as a neighborhood and as a Southwest, really saying, what can we do to integrate equity into our normal way of life? Which is a very up-to-date, I think, sound approach to equity. It's not something special you do for people of color. It's something you do because that's the way we do things around here.
I guess that's all I've got really on the land use front. There's no other notified activity or activity that we've been notified about. So,
You know, Frank, I want to do the next meeting, host the next meeting in a setting that you're in, because I know exactly where you're at, and that's a perfect spot. Maybe I'll do it in front of 4144 next month.
yeah, that would work. You know, there is one other thing it's a little more controversial that I feel like I should mention, is that you know, it's come out here in the last few weeks that the city did not have the approval of the GSA or the FEMA to use the Sears Armory site in the manner you know, that it's being used now as an SRV. That they didn't deem it to be you know, in line with the with the criteria with the that was established in the exchange, that it wasn't an emergency management facility. So I don't know, you know, there's been a lot of rumblings about that, and I just don't know if we could have a little discussion about that here. That you know, if we as a neighborhood want to say anything about that. So that I'm just introducing that as a land use topic. It certainly is one. So.
Well, it certainly did it certainly got some press. Let's put it that way. And I remember, yeah, I was. Let's see.
I have my hand up.
Oh, go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, so my dad actually worked across the table from Amanda Fritz on a lot of land use. He was a developer in Portland for years. And I would like someone to speak, whether it's Frank or Amanda with some connections to the city. I just don't understand the double standard. I don't understand how my dad could have to go through all the hoops and do all the work and take months and months to get something done. And the city can just push things through and not do what everyone else, all the citizens have to do. I need someone to speak to that. I don't understand.
And that is really, as working as an architect in Portland, having to go through all those hoops, Lisa, I think you understand that's how I feel as well. And I raised the issue with Dan Ryan when they had their open house at the Safe Rest Village that Friday, and just so I'm happy to take it up with him further.
Well, I guess further, Frank, and it's just that why are we as a neighborhood association not up in arms about that? I don't understand how we can say that little apartment down the street has to do X, Y, and Z, but the city of Portland can ram something through with no regard. I just don't understand why we as an association aren't bringing this up and bringing it to the city. Can someone in the group speak to that?
Yeah, I'd welcome that.
Well, you know, if maybe that should be coming from the land use committee. And perhaps Lisa, if you want to network with Frank, we could get some sort of a something out of the land use committee for this. It makes sense to do that.
Does anyone else in this meeting share concerns?
Well, yes, someone should be able to provide. I mean, you've obviously had conversations with the city since FEMA came out. Can you just update us on where things stand currently?
Moses, if you want me to try, I mean, I can provide a little bit of insight.
I'm sorry, who says
This is Leah, sorry.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. I don't know if you have time for, I can provide a little bit of insight.
Sure, go for it.
That's appropriate. Okay, so yeah, obviously all development types and scales range, and when you have emergency ordinances, that prioritizes the urgency for different policy decisions. And so my understanding, and Frank, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the shelter to housing continuum planning effort and policy effort that the city underwent for, it was over a year-long policy outreach process, talked about alternative shelter types like Safe Rest Villages, not just Safe Rest Villages, but a number of options to addressing the housing crisis. And so that was a more than a year-long process. So you're talking about timing and ramming things down people. So that was an opportunity to get feedback and to talk about alternatives to how do we address this mounting crisis. And so that was a lot of work that was put in. And similarly, when we do any kind of zoning changes or long-range planning efforts, there's a lot of policy decision. And then once that policy is decided on, then a developer could come in and build to that exact code, and their planning efforts would be streamlined. However, there's all kinds of stuff that goes into all of that. But so I don't know if that sheds a little bit of light, but it didn't say exactly where those sites were going to be, but it did talk about what would make a good site or what could be a potential site for locating an outdoor shelter.
I guess my hope is that you can explain, now that FEMA is saying that this can't be a Safe Rest Village, what is going to happen, because FEMA has also said that they're working with the city to, quote, cure the problem, which from what I've researched says get the village out. So like, what is actually happening? I mean, there must be some news about
I can't
that.
speak to that because I'm not part of that team. I was just more talking about like land use policy decisions and Safe Rest Villages, but yeah, I'm not sure on that.
So,
but I could maybe follow up with Frank.
Frank can speak to that, but my understanding is now that the city is trying to change the Safe Rest, the Sears Armory, the type, instead of it being a emergency shelter, it's a HUD something. So they're now trying to go in through the back door and change how the property's designated so they can keep the Safe Rest Village there. And that's my bigger concern, is this backdoor sleuthing and deceit by the city. So all the residents around here have no say and they're going to push it through. So Frank, do you have any thoughts on that or any more information?
Oh, I'm don't know. I don't know that I do. But what I can say is that to what the one woman was saying, I'm not sure what her name is, but there are two paths that were identified as the ways to rectify the situation. One is that the city can pay the cost, the market rate for that property and buy it from the federal government, as opposed to taking the free version and only operating it as the emergency management operation. There is the possibility of isolating just that section of the property and sort of splitting it off from the rest of the property and redesignating it in some fashion. And I'm not really sure quite how that would work. I think that the likely, FEMA, the GSA, they don't want this property back. And I think it's unlikely that they would take it back. But I think that, your point about being concerned about how this progresses from here is reasonable. And just to address what Leah had said about the year-long process beforehand, what's so tricky about a process like that? I can appreciate, as someone who goes through these processes professionally, that from one perspective, it seems like, oh, we're doing all this process, but boy, I was aware somewhat of that process, but I didn't get any sort of connection to how that might come back and have an impact. And so, you have to have so much time and be so, engaged in those processes in general to really be aware of how it's going to impact, each of us as citizens. And
Yeah.
Very
Hey,
true.
Can I add, just so that we can move forward, but yet actually do something positive here to address this? Frank, I don't have a challenge personally writing a letter asking about what the how the FEMA status affects things. I think that's very appropriate. I'd like to ask if you could, let's do this the right way. Let's do it through the committee, the land use committee, and then push it up, and then we can get that out in the next week.
Okay, yeah, well, I'll write a letter and maybe I'll talk with Lisa if that's all right, and
Amen.
sort of work
Yes,
through
please.
it.
Yeah, let's do this, and let's set let's set an internal goal of, let's get this out by next week.
Okay, we'll just write a formal inquiry about what the city's plan is here.
What's up, guys? Why you? we have learned through media accounts that FEMA has rejected your yada yada yada. Please share with us the current status of things.
Yeah, correct.
Words of that effect. Yes, sir. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, Frank. Thanks, Moses.
Sure. I hope that's it. Yeah, you got it. Okay. Let's.
I think I'm done.
Okay. Okay. Let's get over to. Okay. We're so close to being finished with the reports. Transportation and also these reports are also taking care of some of the things that we have to talk about with old business and with the new business. So I'm going to reference those as we go along. Corinne Wallace with transportation. You've got a lot of things going on, sir.
I do. I don't really have a lot of transportation wise to report. Just a few things in the old and new business. So I'm happy to wait until we get to that point in just a couple minutes here.
Even better. Awesome. Zoom. Will, your hand is up. Did you have a?
Well, I have some thoughts on this particular issue, but it's not germane to the report from land use. It has to do with Multnomah Neighborhood Association's relationship to its constituents and how we represent their interests. But let's hold on that till we get to other business down the road.
Okay, thank you. All right, and last but not least, an update from Sweeney. Sweeney has been amazingly receptive of late to the work that we not of late, but it's been made in helping us get through the hacking that they had and the loss of the data that we had with Will. Lee Bueller has been just a superstar in working with Will to get this all resolved. And so we're finally at a point now where we can recircle back around and start working with them a little bit more. One thing I do want to share with everybody is their newsletter, the Sweeney newsletter, Southwest Neighborhood newsletter. Dean Smith, their editor of this newsletter, is a former journalist or something, because he is really good and he's a well-written, he's a very good writer, and he did some good investigative work as far as the background with the Safe Rest Villages and some other issues here in the area. So I do want to, if anything, encourage folks to subscribe to their monthly newsletter. I've just shared in the chat the link to subscribe to it. It's just another way that you can stay informed about what's going on here in our neighborhood and in Southwest Portland. Yeah, click on the link and subscribe to it, and it's just another resource that you can use to stay informed. All right, up next, old business. It is 8:11 right now. We're just 20 minutes behind, 19 minutes behind. It's cool, but good discussions to that. And okay, let's see, Multnomah Days. Let's get into old business. The Multnomah Days fire truck sponsorship. Corinne.
Yeah, I just had a planning meeting with the Business Association today, and the fire truck, Station 18 has agreed to bring a fire truck down. We're just trying to find the location for it to go. And planning is moving right along with Multnomah Days. One thing that was identified in the meeting today is that after the Earth Day event, one thing that felt like it was missing for the business association is to have some block volunteers or a volunteer coordinator to help bring together 5 or 6 volunteers that can be just out and about during Multnomah days to keep an eye on people, make sure, you know, if it's hot is all get out, if somebody gets sick or if somebody needs help or if there's something that's unsafe happening, that we have a few people around and available to support the community. And so I hoped to bring that to the M&A today to see if anybody has any interest in volunteering day of, or at least to be available to it if the business association sends out communication to ask for it, or if there's anybody in the M&A that would like to stand up to be a volunteer coordinator to help work with the business association on that, to make sure we have some people out there with water or resources, or to know where a first aid kit is if needed, or anything along those lines. So I just wanted to put that out there to see if that resonates with anyone. There'll probably be some more communication that will come out from the business association, but I thought this was a great pool of people to at least plant that seed to see if anybody has any interest in volunteering and supporting the business association. Other than that, things are moving along really well with the planning for Multnomah Days, and I think people are really excited to get the community back out there. And that's about all I have for Multnomah Days. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to do my best to answer or take it back to the business association.
Very good. I do want to just comment that I'm really pleased, Corinne, that we are developing this relationship, a new relationship with the business association. I think that's going to just be a positive all the way around. So
yes, agreed. And I will chime in on the down in the new business, talking about doing a solve event. I brought that up with a business association today. I think to them, it makes more sense to have that as an Earth Day event. I think for us as M&A, if we want to clean up the village and the neighborhood, we could do that anytime, and I'm happy to organize it. And I think that's always a win. However, what's the church that's right there on Capitol Highway? Newgate Church, Rivergate, is that what it is? They're supporting some cleanup and trash collection throughout the day. And so what I heard was that last time it didn't seem terribly trashy or full of litter after the event, probably because there was no parade, and that didn't feel that necessary to them. So if there is strong interest in doing it within the neighborhood association, I'm happy to do the same thing and work with Solve to get some things going. But I think otherwise I would commit to doing it for Earth Day, partnering with the business association with that going forward. So but again, if anybody's really into it, I'd be happy to get things set up and going. I think
This is well, I brought it up with them at their last Multnomah Business Association meeting because it came up at our June meeting. Some thought that it might be useful, but if they're not interested, I don't see any reason to go hustling off on Sunday morning.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. And again, it might be really hot. It's with the Rivergate Church kind of leading a cleanup effort on their end. Yeah, thank you, Will. I don't think it's the best way that we can partner with the business association on support. I think if, you know, Will's conversation with them and continued effort to support equity, and then to bring some volunteers out of the M&A to the event, I think would be a huge benefit to the community and to the business association. So that's where I think I'd like to target our support.
Hold on. I see. Okay, I have somebody, Penny has a question too.
Once again, what's the date of Multnomah Days this year?
Oh, yes. Thank you, Penny. It's August 20th. It's always the third Saturday in August. And I think it's mainly from like 10 to 5 roughly is like the peak time frame of the event.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
You know, I will say one more thing about it. I'm really sorry about this. So I'm new to the neighborhood. I've only been here for about 3 years. We've only been to one Multnomah Days event. The planners right now are mostly new business owners that are planning it. And so somebody had asked a question today, what's the history of Multnomah Days? And nobody in the room really knew. And so I put it in an email draft to just maybe that's in Will's communication. What's the Multnomah thing that goes out? Maybe ask for feedback on Multnomah Days if people know, you know, some really cool history about it. I would love to hear it and would love to pass that on to the business association, because we had talked about including that in some potential marketing or using that in some way to highlight where this has come from and what the history of it, because I honestly have no clue. Most of the planners don't either.
Oh, no, you know, we've got a pick and choose our battles here as far as that goes, but that's good. Leslie, your hand is up. Hello, Leslie.
Good evening, everybody. The Sweeney newspaper is going to do a coverage of Multnomah Days. I think we're going to do a 4-pager that'll come out on August 1st, which is about 19 days before the actual event. And given your comment, I think probably we could do a story about the history of Multnomah Days and some of the things that have happened on Multnomah Days. And we have a photo file of what things looked like in previous days. So we might try to do it from that angle and get that information out to everybody, especially for anybody that goes online and wants to look at that edition. It should be out the 1st of August. And that's several days before the actual event itself.
You know, what's interesting too is that we had the Multnomah Historical Society, the Multnomah Historical Association. What was it? Tim Lyman, Lyman Realty. Is he still around? Is anybody aware of them? Man, they had they used to do a newsletter and they would pull out history of the neighborhood or of the area that I don't know if it's his archive or the neighborhood, the Historical Association's archives. I'll follow up on that, Corinne, that route as well, see what they may have. But and Leslie, thank you for your suggestion with the Sweeney. I think that's a great topic. I mean, you can't go wrong given the history of it all. Frank, your hand is up, and then Lisa.
Yeah, I think or the database or the information you mentioned, Moses, it's available online. If you just go and look at Multnomah Historical Society, I think you'll find it. I know last year I dug up a bunch of things, and we actually have a meeting, gosh, it may have been last August, may have been, we actually had a little presentation by the Historical Association. So anyway.
Ooh, I just found their website too. You're absolutely right, sir. I'm gonna put this in the link for everybody.
And I just want to add, Moses, and
chat
to the people regarding the Multnomah Days, that long ago, Joan and Ty, who own Thinker Toys, when they had their store further toward the bridge, they're the ones that came up with the idea to have a parade. He went to the city to get permits. They have been very, very proactive over the years to build it to what it is today. So if you're going to reach out, they might be someone to reach out to get more information. They've been very involved in that for a long time.
That is such a good suggestion, and it gives me a reason to go into Thinker Toys. I haven't been into Thinker Toys since my daughter turned 12.
Right, and also they've done tremendous things for the community, not just Multnomah Days, but they've just been very kind of visionary, I think, as far as their work and all the time they've donated. So I am kind of hats off to them, because I think everything has gotten to where it is today because of their hard work.
Amen. Amen. No, they're good people. They're damn good people. I really like Ty. Of course, John. Of course, John. Okay. Hey, good stuff, folks. Let's see here. Okay, so we got that. Let's get into the GNA status real quick. And Frank, I want to tap you for a little bit of this as well. Basically, we have meetings coming up in regards to the GNA. We're about ready to propose we've received the first draft. We are revising the first draft and submitting it back to the city here in the next little while. And the biggest challenges have been the 3 main issues of the Community Advisory Committee, which I think is going to be no problem. The buffer zones around the neighborhoods or around the SRVs, and the school adjacent property around that area, and then the background checks. And so we're still in discussions on that with both the city and the county. I will say this, that it's not the city that that is the challenge right now. It's county policy in regards to their requirements for how the folks are come into the villages. So I do have outreach, and I have an appointment planned to talk with. I have an appointment with Commissioner Sharon Myron here in a few days, in about 7 days, and we'll be joined by some folks over from West Hills School, and to talk about this and to try to get it mitigated. So I don't mean to be squirrely. I hope I'm not coming across as squirrely about this, but because of the fact that we are in negotiations, I have to kind of be careful about what I say. That's Frank, did I cover everything all right? Do you think I got everything there that I should say? Frank is also one of the people on the negotiating team. That's why I'm also looking to him for thought.
I just have to get to my unmute button. That's all. You know, I don't know that you missed anything particularly. I do think that, I mean, you know, we get a little bit back from the city, and so that's a lot better than what we've gotten from the county. So I'm not. It's not to say that we loved the response of the commissioner's team, but you know, but they're at least there, and
at least been responsive, right? Exactly.
Yeah. So it's ongoing.
It's ongoing.
I have a quick question regarding all the good neighbor agreement. When we started this process, the people that were out at Wapato were going to be running it. It was going to be a high barrier shelter. They knew there was a school nearby. You know, we keep ratcheting it down, and I'm just wondering, is there any chance that we can get it back to be actually a Safe Rest Village? I'm not, the parallels are too much like 2016, women and children only. Then it was this and that. And that appears to me what's happening here is we have this good neighbor agreement, and it started out with people saying we want a high barrier entry, and then we just keep ratcheting it down. And then what happened last time, which is happening now, is all the problems start occurring around the village. The Safe Rest Village itself hasn't been problematic. It's all the riffraff around. So I'm just wondering, in this good neighbor agreement, is that stuff part of it, and can that be addressed? Because that seems to be paralleling the 2016 experience.
Well, I will say this, that the mayor has really, by consolidating the safety department, safety divisions, if you will, under one roof, under his management, it is making things reporting is going to be easy, is easier than it was back in the day. I'm optimistic. I really am, Lisa, that it's not gonna be a repeat of 2016. And I say that because of their openness to work with us on the GNA, to talk with us with the GNA, and the fact that also they're cognizant of the impact in the communities. And so they're bringing in the impact reduction teams. They're bringing in the groups, the division that will do the cleanups. They're bringing in the police department and it's taking longer than it should have, but I am seeing a little bit more coordination.
Moses, have you gotten any reports? I mean, the last I knew, there were 17 people who were participating in the Safe Rest Village. Have you had any status reports about?
I have not. We have our stakeholders meeting, I believe, this Friday, if I remember correctly. And then we also have some upcoming stuff with the GNA, and I'm gonna.
Moses?
Yeah, Beth.
If I may say something about the difference between the two 2016 shelter and what in the Safe Rest Village, it's kind of comparing apples and oranges. That wasn't the 24-hour one. That was people being shuttled in the evening and then being shuttled out in the morning, and it was just a bit more chaotic, I would say, and unsettled than what the plan is for Safe Rest Village, where there's someone there 24/7, and the people can be there 24/7 as well. I assume they're not having to move their belongings out every single morning and so forth, and they can have meals and such, and that just wasn't the case. There wasn't even clean water for them to drink in 2016.
But as a resident right next to, adjacent to it, the parallels are similar in that I'm seeing people I've never seen in the neighborhood. I've called TriMet 3 times on people loitering and homeless people living at the shelter. I see people up and down my sidewalk I have never seen before. So the parallels are that within that Safe Rest Village, all is good and well, just like in 2016, closed the door to the building as well. But what happens outside and in the neighborhood is what impacts me every day. And there's going to be parallels, and there already is. There's a camp over on Barber. They're walking from Barber to Multnomah. They're throwing beer bottles in our hedge. My husband cleaned up a camp already. There's parallels. There's riffraff outside the village that's already impacting my neighborhood. So there is parallels, and I'm not going to listen to the argument that there is not. They're smaller. There's not as many, but it's happening.
All right, next up, Frank, and then Ruth.
Yeah, I think I just would respond maybe not quite as strongly as Lisa, but really with the same sentiment. I mean, the point is that our experience as immediate neighbors is very similar. The development of the camp, sure, you can talk all day about how different it is, but our experience is similar, and that's what we're telling you because we're the only ones who have that experience. So please listen to us.
I hear you.
All right, Ruth, go ahead, please.
Yeah, hi. Just want to say that, looking forward to continuing to develop the communication pathway. Hearing there's an issue with the 24/7 phone line perhaps, but Brian Lene, so those of us, the group, the Friends of the Multnomah Safe Rest Village that's been organizing and been in touch with Brian, he's been super responsive, and we're working, to organize, over time, additional donations and volunteers and other forms of support. Several of us are on this call. We have lawn signs, fmsrv.org. If anyone wants to check out our website, we'd love to have more. But I'm just looking forward to, as they get this up and running, I think it is running smoothly so far from what we've heard, but just hearing that, neighbors are continue to be concerned about any, outside folks hanging out. Brian, in our experience, has been super receptive. So I'm hopeful that, through the continued good neighbor discussions and being in contact. I mean, I think Moses, I would encourage the neighborhood association to reach out directly to Brian. We don't need a good neighbor association to talk to Brian, right? And just establish that relationship and just raise the concerns that they aren't, if there's folks in the immediate area, that's not his job to deal with it, but just to raise the concern, and then maybe, through the city to just, because they are supposed to be, doing additional assurance around not having camping in the immediate vicinity and so forth. So just want to put in a plug for there's the positive side of this as well, even though I'm hearing, of course, the immediate neighbors are feeling concerned. So thanks.
Okay, thank you, Ruth. I will say this as we wrap up this part of the whole business, this subject, that I will go make it a point to reach out to Brian and have a visit and express some of the things that we're hearing tonight to him. And I'll report back and make sure that you hear what I have to say and that he hears you. I don't know if he is he's not going to be a decision maker, but because of the fact that he is running the darn thing and he's a player in this, a factor in this. And so I want to make sure that we have a good relationship with him. Dylan Petty.
Going back some time, in our meeting, a person raised a concern that she was not able to contact anyone there. And she tried 3 times. The very fact that there has been a discussion about the Safe Rest Village, which I think is totally appropriate, that it would be very simple to be able to, you know, take down that information, say, I'll get back to you on that. Because it's a, you know, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of intervention. So sometimes concerns that the neighborhood association might feel they have to take on could actually be taken care of by Brian or someone else. Like the phone, can't reach anyone. And if you can't reach anyone, then you can't actually have them deal with the situation. So that's a suggestion that I think ought to be part of the meeting.
I agree with you. And I think that when I get a chance to, when I meet him face to face, I'm going to bring that, I'll bring this point up. I mean, you know, that if they're going to tout it as a 24/7 number, then have it manned 24/7.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what they're touting it as. So, yeah.
And I think they're basically the ones to at least be the first point of contact. To be able to then, you know.
And not have the first point of contact be a voicemail, for Christ's sake. Pardon my friend.
And if it is a voicemail, at least get back.
Right. Agreed. Agreed. Okay. Good stuff. Thank you. Good comment, sir. Okay. Let's briefly go through the last 2 items of old business, and then we'll very quickly go through the final ice cream social and wrap up on that positive note. The renter outreach that we did at the Village Headwaters Senior Apartments, I just want to report back on that real quickly. I know that we've addressed it earlier in the meeting, but one thing I did that really struck me about that attending that tenant meeting was that there's a lot of people that want to get involved and have issues that motivate them to want to get involved. And the neighborhood association can actually help, can play a part in helping them. You know, they were talking about their concerns about crime and the catalytic converters, and they were and we have a safety committee, and we're starting to, you know, we can't do it tomorrow, but we're starting to chip away at addressing some of those concerns for them. The transportation issues, one of the concerns that they had there, which is a very valid one, is the lighting along that street, along 30, what is that, Primrose. They they didn't know who to contact with the city to deal with better lighting. Well, we have a transportation committee, and good old Corinne knows who to contact. And so, you know, we're going to start to work on some of these issues that they brought up through our M&A committees to try to address them and to help. I think it fundamentally comes down to just giving them a voice, feeling like they're important, you know, that their neighbors and their issues are being addressed, you know, by our neighborhood association. So I'm hopeful for that. It was a good first dipping the toe in the pool for both Will and I. And so I'm looking forward to doing more of these. So I was really impressed. Will and I are a good double team. Will, is there any other, did I miss anything about that? Do I need to address it?
What about that? I think if I mentioned earlier a point about the relationship between the neighborhood association and its constituents. And this is a case where if we come and say, yes, we will do something, and then nothing happens, then we aren't being a good constituent. If it's only coming back and saying, here's where our efforts have been, we've gotten stonewalled or whatever happens, to let them know that we're on their side. I think the main association, as far as I'm concerned, the big issue, and it's an equity issue really, that the people who are living in the neighborhood, who are members, really get heard, they get treated with respect, and they get understand. We're all volunteer operation, we have limited bandwidth and all that stuff, but we're here for the residents of the neighborhood, and making sure that that's the way the perception comes through, that's the reality, is what we're after here. So when we talk to somebody at the village, make sure it happens.
Amen. Agreed, very much so. Okay, next up. So we're going to be doing this more often, and ultimately I'd like to see, Will mentioned that they are they want to organize within that community, within the apartment complex. And so hopefully we can get some new volunteers from them, from those efforts. And I'll report back as we go along and as we do more outreach within the community. A final piece of old business is the work groups and their update on the work groups. I want to encourage, we have 3 work groups that have been created, one for technology to help us with getting the neighborhood association into the 21st century as far as our storage and our emails and our websites. Will is always looking for folks that want to give us input and help us with that. The bylaws committee right now has 4 members, myself, Tad, our treasurer / parliamentarian, who else is on there? Beth is on there, and I think Peter Sampson is on there. So if there's others that would like to join us in our efforts to take a look at the bylaws and bring something up to the if changes are needed, make them and present them to us. That's what we're working on there in the bylaws. The 501c3 status, we have not had any movement on that one yet. If folks have legal backgrounds or experience with 501c3s, I encourage you to reach out to me on that one, and I'll just we may go as we go along. It looks like the bylaws and the technology one are the real exciting ones right now. The 501c3 status, if that's an interest with you, I'd love to get that one going too. So, and let's see, 8:38. One item left. Corinne, are you still on the call with me? Oh my goodness, yay.
Yeah.
Man, thank you.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, Corinne, hey, let's talk about the ice cream social.
Well, it's still very early in planning stages. We have a date identified. Moses and I both saw the email come through from Community Civic Life, letting us know that we could plan a party. Neighborhood associations are encouraged to do so, and we would get free reservations at a park. And so Moses and I, we talked on a call and brainstormed some ideas about using the Gabriel Park space down near the 4144 Canby Street development and using that section of Canby Street to throw a neighborhood association party. And so far we just have permits identified. I still need to reach out to Portland Parks and Rec to see if we can use that space. It's not usually a reserved space. Usually we use picnic tables. So what I can say is I'm pretty sure Moses and I and anyone else who wants to volunteer can pull off a party, but more details to come. Would like to lean on some of the businesses to maybe bring out some ice cream. I'm going to reach out to Sean and the development companies of the development that's being put together at 4144 Canby and see if they're willing to sponsor some party events, something to bring people together. Moses is right. We did ask multiple city organizations to attend. It's part of the application process. And I checked just about every box to see if we can get some of our city organizations to show up for us. So it kind of depends on who's available day of, because I'm sure a lot of other neighborhoods are having a party, but we asked for Portland Street Response, Portland Police, and Portland Neighborhood Response Team to hopefully come out. And I also asked PBOT to come out as well. So we'll see what comes out. And I think it's once we get a little bit of a firmer plan in place regards to time and exact location and some of the things that we'll pull together for that day. We'll get an email out and some communication going and get it up on the website and hopefully get as many people from the community as we can there. With that said, Moses and I both had this. I think we both wanted to do it, but we both needed each other's energy to bring it together. But I certainly can't plan a party on my own. So if anybody would like to step up and help me pull some things together, I would love to partner with somebody because I usually work better with somebody else. And I know Moses has a lot of other things to do. So if anybody wants to jump on, please reach out to me via email and help me out. And if anybody has any ideas, anything that they'd like to throw out today, I can drop that down and see what I can pull together as well. So, or what you think would benefit pulling our community together at the time that we're at right now. I'll do just about anything I can to support our neighborhood and try to do something positive for us. So.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I'm looking forward to this, and I'm really happy that our energies matched when it came to trying to put this together. So
Right.
if you'd like to volunteer, folks, please get a hold of either of us, and we will certainly tap into your energy. You know, just as an aside here, related note, the ice cream. We've got I can think of 3 ice cream places, 2 in the neighborhood, one very close to where we're going. You know, that one right there across the street from the Arts Center. Isn't there an ice cream place? There used to be one in the village, but now that's Sarah
Yeah,
Bell's now, isn't it?
yeah, I'm sure we can put together somebody, just a matter of keeping the ice cream cold and what they have to.
Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah,
Um,
that's right. I'm thinking of the yogurt place. All right. Good stuff. So all of this is, you know, and I want it, and this is the date again is, what was that date again? The 13th of August,
Yep.
Saturday, the
August 13th. Yeah, I imagine we would do it sometime in the mid-afternoon, kind of depending on best time of the weather and kind of what makes the most sense based on who's available from the city. And if Sean from the development can throw some things together for us, I'm going to lean on him and hopefully he'll pull something together. So whatever makes the most sense to pull the most resources together, I think is when we would base the timing of the party.
Okay, well, sounds good. I think we have a plan on that, and we'll be reporting back at the next meeting. I want to get a quick feel from everybody before we close tonight. It's been thrown out that we don't have to have a general meeting in August, just because people are, you know, it's August, it's hot. And we do have, on one hand, I know I'll always have things I need to report back to you folks on one hand. On the other hand, it does kind of make sense. Does anybody have any thoughts? Anybody want to chip in on, can say anything about that? Any strong thoughts about not or holding or not holding a meeting in August?
Penny has her hand.
Yes, go ahead, Penny.
I think it's a good idea to take a vacation, a summer vacation.
Agreed. And considering we do have a lot on our plate here, and especially, I got a heart from Ruth. Okay. All right. So hey, I'll make that announcement with more than enough time. And if we do not have an August meeting, it's going to be incumbent on me to make sure that folks know what's going on and stay up to date in lieu of not having a meeting. So I will commit to that. And yes, Penny, I do agree with you 110%. Maybe it is time. Summer vacation won't hurt. I wouldn't complain. I'll have to, yeah, agreed. I'll have to admit, I'm having mine. And hey, let's take care of the formalities here. That is the last order of business that we have. Does anybody else have any other issues or any other thoughts or anything else that they'd like to bring up in discussion? Okay. Hearing none. Let's go ahead and adjourn the meeting side of things. And we can just talk a little bit real quick before we all leave about what we were talking about. Yeah, August or vacation. I'm leaving personally, I'm going to Reno, Nevada at the end of July for 5 days. And it's been years since pre-pandemic since I've done anything like that. I'm looking forward to that. Anybody else have any good summer plans, vacations coming up?
Sure, 2 high school reunions.
What is it? They finally sent you an invitation to the 25th?
Yeah, right. 2 60th reunions in the same year, of course. One in Roseburg and one at Sunset.
Very cool.
Speaking of August, I think one of the things that's important is to have a good bunch of people helping with the ice cream social, because that takes more than just one person. One side issue, the Multnomah Days, Multnomah Business Association has got the city to make Canby Street one-way eastbound as part of their traffic plan, among other things. And since I don't have to worry about cleaning up on Sunday morning, I volunteer to help with the ice cream social.
Very good, very good. Hey, it seemed that we have adjourned. Go ahead and let's stop recording, and that way we can be official here. And it's 8:47 on, and thank you all very much.